The ring of a bell comes to you on a cold wind. The ring comes again and again, until soon the air is full with the sound of 1,000 bells ringing all at once. You are alone. And then, you are not. An indistinct figure stands before you, flickering between forms like a fire-cast shadow. A fixed, taunting grin. Bottomless black eyes. A yawning chasm in the earth. The aspects of Bareth, the Usher and the Pallid Knight, shift in and out of focus. And at their back, 4 indistinct shades hover. You feel an eternity stretch out behind each of them, reaching back to places so distant and yet so near you cannot comprehend their size. The shifting image of Bareth settles on the aspect of the Pallid Knight.
Watcher.
Her voice is the discordant clangor of gongs struck out of time.
I tasked you to discover Aethys's intentions. Tell me what you have learned.
The Pallid Knight knits her brows.
He does not seek to return to the Beyond? Intriguing.
Her sickly pale skin pulls tight across the bones of her face, as if the shell of this aspect does not quite fit the impossible creature it contains. The figure nearest Bareth dissolves and reforms in the image of a thin-lipped, ancient crone whose face has felt the melting kiss of fire. The goddess Wodica strides forward.
Does Aethys frighten you, Bareth? He should. Magran subdued Aethys's influence once before, and yet he returned.
From out of Wodica's shadow shuffles a hunched, bald man you recognize as the god Scan. His skin is mapped with swollen lash scars, and breath whistles through the ragged hole in his face where his nose once was. He does not speak, but stares up at Wodica with naked loathing plain on his ruined face. Wodica steeples her long, knob-jointed fingers.
We must annihilate Aethys now, before he makes a rash decision we cannot easily annul.
She casts a sly look at the Pallid Knight from the corners of her eyes.
A moon would do the job nicely.
Wodica stares at you down her long nose.
I would destroy it all in the blink of your wide eye if I believed it would benefit me. Empires can be rebuilt. Souls can be reforged. Do not forget it.
The figure beside the aspect of Bareth flows forward in a swirling cloud of ash. The ash falls to the tiles and reveals a molten-skinned woman leaning on a monstrous, wicked-edged broadsword. Magran's glowing lips curl in disdain.
We must find a solution to the problem of Aethys that is neither do nothing, nor destroy the world. I acted in haste during the Saints' War. You will not goad me into doing the same now. To move against him while his plans are unknown would be the height of foolishness. We must find wisdom in precaution.
Mogren looks at you as one might a wayward gob of spit on one's shoe.
It is no business of yours what the gods decide.
Another of the silent figures steps forward, and the warm, golden light of a summer's afternoon spills across your face.
Let's all take a deep, calming breath. Perhaps cooler heads will prevail.
Behind Helia's words, you hear the soft coo of doves.
Aethys has been separated from us for too long. Isn't it possible he intends only to gather enough souls to reclaim his realm in the beyond? He should be welcomed.
You look up then into avian eyes. Through them, you see clouds of starlings converge and divide. Helia puts a feathered hand to her chest.
He wouldn't. Betrayal is not in his nature.
Scan shuffles forward.
Yes, yes. We should welcome Aethys's return to the fold. His gratitude we can leverage to cajole him into divulging his plot. Then, when he believes himself to be in our good graces, we do as Wedeka suggests, and crush him into the earth.
Scan pauses, inspecting you.
Ah, and here is the Watcher who killed Lord Harren, the man who tormented his dear niece, Alice. Curious.
Scan licks the ragged edge of his lipless mouth and grins, then turns to Helia.
I did not expect such a deliciously ruthless idea from you, Helia. I am impressed.
Helia's feathered crest stands on end.
You wretched little creature.
Your point is well made, little Watcher. If self-evident, Aethys has not been known to possess a vindictive nature. Indeed, he has occasionally been magnanimous to a fault. However, if we push him to the brink of reason, there is no telling what he may do. He is, as ever, unpredictable.
Something akin to fondness creeps into her voice. The pallid knight gestures for silence.
Aethys cannot be killed, but he may be subdued. Yet to do so will take immense power and time. Both stand in his favor.
Mogren grits her black glass teeth.
That is why we must ascertain his plans before he has the chance to put them into motion.
She begins to pace. Her steps leave little trails of fire in her wake. Mogren stops and balls her hands into flaming fists.
Even if we manage to destroy his current form, there is the possibility he could return, if he has not already absorbed all of his children.
The pallid knight casts a cold, cutting glare in Mogren's direction.
Mogren speaks too freely. That knowledge is beyond your ken, Watcher.
Wodeka waves the gods to silence.
Aethys gathers strength. His strength is a threat to us.
Her voice takes on a sharp, almost panicked edge.
There is no sensible answer to the question of a resurgent Aethys other than decisive, final action.
Your opinion is unasked for, but noted.
The
We will act when it is appropriate to do so, and not before.
Pallid Knight steps away from the half-circle of assembled gods. She pulls herself up to a great height. The words she speaks next come not from her mouth, but from all around you.
Follow him, Watcher.
The black of the Pallid Knight's irises expand until her eyes are as dark and cold as the void between stars. She bends down and brings her ghostly face level with your own.
Your debt to me remains unpaid.
She stares at you, unblinking. Like a needle drawn to a magnet, you are pulled toward her one compulsory step at a time. You blink open your eyes and find yourself on the floor of your ship's cabin, alone.
I see your plan.
How may I be of service, my lord? With Cadnua in ruins, there was little purpose in waxing sentimental over the rubble. I was able to salvage enough of your treasure and wealth to afford the purchase of the Defiant and the hire of a small crew. Unfortunately, that consumed the remainder of your once considerable assets. Under the circumstances, I hoped you would not object. I suggest we proceed to Neketaka, my lord. It is the largest city in Deadfire, and we shall be better able to get our bearings there. I was the steward of your keep at Cadnua, my lord. Long before your time, I had my soul bound to a throne of Ardraban. And for nearly 200 years, I felt Cadnua and the comings and goings within it like an extension of myself. It is a strange connection to lose. Still, it would be unseemly for me to complain of loss to you, my lord.
Ship life sure is an adventure, ain't it? Just think of all the places we can sail to, all the sights we could see. This is nothing like being stuck on a farm, or cloistered in the back of a temple. Tell me what's on your mind? They're there in my head when I sleep. And sometimes I can taste them on the back of my tongue like a smear of grit. Happens when I take in a particularly volatile soul. Will we? Ought we? I just don't know. I trust you, Watcher. I swear I do. I worry sometimes about what's gonna happen to me. But, well, it's not like I can turn my back on my duty to my God, even if it kills me. We talking during the Saints' War or after he died? Well, before he died, he was still Aethys as the majority of my brethren know him. Aethys embodied a human, and when that human got blown to bits, we all believed Aethys died. And I think a part of him did, the part he'd most closely woven into living flesh, the part that represented life, and rebirth after death. Which means the part of him that could have survived, that stormed across the Deadfire seas, was the side more aligned with obsidian, rot, and falling away. That which is death. No need to fiddle-foot around. You need me, I'll be 2 whoops and a holler away.
Thank you again for maintaining my story in front of Vanessa and the others. I didn't enjoy deceiving them, but it seemed simpler than the alternative. I'm working against one of the most secretive organizations in all of Aora. One with a rather troubled history as far as animancy is concerned. That's not the sort of thing one shares with new friends. Believe me, I take no pleasure in duplicity. Ah, the steward told me about your incident at Cadnua. Aethys took a piece of your soul. I suppose it's only natural to lose a few memories along with it. You and I met in Gilded Vale, shortly after your arrival in Deerwood and in the midst of my run-in with the locals. I was with you as you sought Theos and answers regarding your awakening. And you helped me come to terms with mine. Thanks to you, I learned to assert myself over Isilmir. She hasn't troubled me since. Back to our journey across the Deerwood. We pursued Theos and discovered the leaden key at the center of Widewind's legacy. And, more importantly, a millennia-old conspiracy to conceal the true origins of the gods. After we parted, I set out to destroy the leaden key. It's controlled us for too long. I wanted to free Kith from it. So for 5 years, I've been tracking down leaden key circles, searching for the places where they operate in secret. Trying to undo them. The task has been more difficult than I anticipated. I don't think I fully understood the weight of the decisions I would have to make, or the burden of living with them. It was much easier when I only had to follow someone else's lead. My father's, Theos's, yours. I know, and I have. After we defeated Theos, I thought the hard part of undoing his work would be tracking down the leaden key's members and operations. Perhaps this would be easier with an example. I went to a village in Old Valia, a run-down backwater of a place. Centuries ago, the leaden key had intervened to end some heretical cult. The details were lost, but what had endured was a practice of ritual bloodletting. A gruesome, pointless tradition. At every full moon, the villagers would feed the soil with their blood. No one, young or old, sick or hale, was exempt. The village priest administered the practice. Grim old fellow. Reminded me of Theos. He was a tyrant. I was certain that if the villagers were free of his influence, they'd be free from the bloodletting too. So I arranged for him to have an accident. I thought so, at first. The old man died, and the villagers were terrified. They were convinced his death was an ill omen. They blamed it, and every other mishap that befell them, on their lack of faith. So they began bloodletting every week, turning on their neighbors for giving too little. Instead of a handful dying each year, a few perished every week. Is it? In the end, the villagers suffered more because of my actions. I keep wondering what I might have done differently, or how I could have known better. I suppose so. I should get some rest. It's been a long day, and you've given me a lot to think about. Ah, that. I'm looking for an old Leaden Key sect. I've found several references, but I want to be sure. Please, let me go over my notes again. Then I promise I'll tell you everything.
Hey, this brings back some memories, huh? I want the destruction to stop. I want him to finish what he's doing and then go in peace. Only I don't see it playing out that way. If you like. I like that feeling, knowing we'd stop Theos. We were part of something big. That was something I never felt before, not even at war. Guess I went looking for it again. Not that I wanted to tangle with gods, but something smaller. Something I thought I could manage. I looked all around the Deerwood, but that place has too many ghosts for me. Things I'd just as soon forget. Ended up moving to Adir and tracking down my parents. They went there as refugees after the war ended. In part, I guess. Adir, they still got some bad blood with Deerwood. Goes back to the Revolution. Some Adirans like to give Deerwoodans a hard time they get the chance. With my folks, a group came along and tried to take their land. Made a phony claim to it. I sat down with them and we had a friendly negotiation. One fella, I don't think he'll ever be able to look to his right again. But we came to an understanding. My folks, well, they didn't see me the same after that. I think they'd have rather given up the land than have it come to violence. And I don't know if that was something we could have avoided or if it was the cost of trying to fix things. Yeah?
Next time.
Oh?
Happy to oblige. Mo, Ixie, Ono.
Yeah? Leave it to me.
I'm here. Another for the Queen.
Right?
Happy to oblige. Time to separate the chaff.